Hi, welcome to today's video and thanks for joining me. Today we're going to be talking about this subject, your withdrawal strategy. Well, this happens to be one of the most common questions I get. You're all asking, David, which account should we do withdrawals from first, our RSPs or from our taxable account? Do we ever use our tax-free savings account? So today in this video, I'm going to compare an RSP meltdown versus taking your taxable account first and pushing off the RSP to age 71 and then do the RRIF. So we're going to see which one comes out ahead, and you're going to be surprised about which one comes out ahead. And I'm going to show you the step-by-step process of how I approach doing a withdrawal strategy so you can see what goes into it. And then, of course, if you have any questions, feel welcome to put your comments below. And without further ado, let's get into why you're here today. Now, you may have Googled this, and they're all saying preserve your RSPs first, preserve your liras first, your LIFs first. Anything that is tax deferred, hold on to that as long as you can. Don't do any withdrawals. Start with the taxable account first. And so really what you ought to be thinking about first is understanding what are your goals. So do you want to live off just the returns in the portfolio? Do you have an estate goal? What is your income goal? And do you have an age that you want to be out of your RSPs and your liras or LIFs by a certain age? Normally in the plans that I'm doing, I'm trying to get everybody out by age 85, 86, around there, to make sure that those people aren't passing away with money in their RRIF accounts, which would be fully taxable to their estate. So there are some sort of conditions that you have to set first before you can figure out exactly what's your withdrawal strategy. So one thing, though, there's looming over you, and that is the government's going to force this decision on by age 71. So no matter what you're thinking, understand, I think you probably all understand, but understand there's sort of like a finish line here as to when your thinking has to stop and when the government takes over. So by age 71, you have to convert your RSPs to a RRIF and then start receiving income. And you can see I've put this slide before, retirement timeline, giving you some insights, some milestones that happen in retirement. Age 60 is the earliest age where you can start getting your CPP. Average age of retirement in Canada is about 62, 63. Old age security begins at 65. And your latest, which I just said, is age 71, where you have to convert your RSPs to a RRIF. So there are some milestones that happen, and when you're planning out your retirement, you have to consider when certain income streams start to flow to you so you can build your withdrawal strategy. So I'm just going to go straight to the outcome and then talk you through how I came to step-by-step of this. So you'll see here the first one, the priority was, the first column, prioritize RSP meltdown ahead of using taxable accounts versus use your taxable account first, push off CPP to age 71, and then start taking the income. So let's look at this. The lifetime personal tax, well, if you do an RSP, at least in this example, okay, this may not be true of your example, but this at least is giving you some insight. They save $55,000. Just by the way, some background. It's a couple, they retiring at age 62. They have money in their RSP, money in their TFSA, money in their non-registered account. So typical kind of couple here. And so you see here they've saved $55,000 in personal taxes. This is the cumulative amount of taxes from today all the way until their passing. If they had done an RSP meltdown first, so if they prioritized taking money out of their RSP ahead of taking money out of their taxable accounts, they'll save $55,000. Their financial assets at their passing, they have $277,000 more if they do the RSP meltdown ahead of doing the taxable accounts first. And you see that they're saving slightly on their estate, on their taxes on their estate by about $26,000. But they have more money to give to their beneficiaries if they prioritize using the RSP meltdown, $6.5 million versus $6.2 million, so $250,000 ahead. So if you say, well, that's not a lot of money, but you know, the idea here is that you don't have to do anything really special. You're just doing withdrawals anyway. You're just prioritizing which accounts to take it out of. So if you're going to do the withdrawals anyway, do it in a way that's going to save you save you the most money and have the most money going to your beneficiaries. In this case, the RSP meltdown came out ahead. So let's dig into some of the sort of conditions, how you go about figuring this out, and then I'll take you to the planning pages, okay? So this is the 3-bucket strategy. This goes into, you can check out this video. I can't remember which side I point on, but you can check out this video, and really this is talking about, this video is really about, not the 3-bucket, but the one you're watching right now, is around how do you take money out of your investment accounts? What accounts do you prioritize taking the money out? And then where do you take it out of, and where do you put it? So that's why I'm giving you the 3-bucket as well in this. So if you look at the 3 different buckets, if you will, the first bottom left-hand corner is your cash account. So this would be GICs, ladder GICs, money market accounts, cash in your checking account. That is the bucket that you spend all of your lifestyle expenses. That's where all the money comes out. All your withdrawals are going to come out of that fund. So I typically like to put my clients in money market accounts for their withdrawal. That way, if markets are really volatile, just the money that you need for that year or 6 months or whatever your timeline is, you can see it says 1, 2 year, and 3 year. It could be 6 months. You might not be that risky and risk adverse, and so you say, you know what, 6 months is fine. But essentially, we have all of your lifestyle spending needs in that bucket, and it's coming out of money market accounts. So you're going to get money, comes in monthly, quarterly, annually, whatever that is, and you're going to use that money to go on vacation, to pay your bills, do all the things, the lifestyle you have, but it comes out of that bucket. So there's no volatility in that bucket. If you want to have your money go to zero, so accelerate the momentum of your accounts going to zero, then just pay attention to this video up here, and it's called Investment Return, the sequence of investment returns. And if you are doing withdrawals in a negative market, you are going to accelerate the momentum of your accounts going to zero faster than anything else. So pay attention to that video. So essentially what you're going to do is you're going to take money from your investment accounts and put it in cash. So what does that look like? So let's look at bucket number 1. This is a 1 to 3 year. You have to ask yourself, how much risk are you willing to take on? Meaning, do you think that you need to have 3 years of money sitting in cash, or is it 6 months or 1? You have to figure that out first. Then you're going to subtract all of the sure income streams that you've got. CPP, old age security, pensions, rental income, those things you're assured of. Well, maybe rental is not so assured. Some of you have had struggle with renters, but essentially you want to subtract from your total expenses all your surefire income, right? So the difference is what has to come from your investment account. So let's look at how that looks. Okay, so let's look at an example with real numbers. So let's say in this particular case, the person needed $70,000 per year, and we're going to subtract out $38,000. That's the combined, this is a couple, combined CPP, old age security, and other income sources. So the 70 minus the 38 equals 32. So there's your $70,000. That means $32,000 has to come from their investment accounts to fund their lifestyle expenses with their CPP, old age security, and other income sources. Does that make sense? That kind of makes sense. So you don't need, if you've got 500,000, 800,000, a million, 3 million, you don't need all your money today. You need, in this example, $32,000, and you need a little bit more each year to go up with inflation. And then sometimes you have some years where you're spending money on renovations or replacing a car and you need to take more money out. But essentially that gives you the idea of how we get to that 32,000. So there's your 32,000 in the middle bucket. So what does this mean? 5 to 8 year lifestyle expenses, 9 to 25 year. If you look at your life today until you're 90 or 95, whatever your retirement is going to be, your mortality is going to be, the first bucket is all in cash. The middle, when I say bucket, the investments, they're all in cash. The middle bucket are investments that has a timeline of 5 to 8 years. So that means you're not doing anything really risky. This is middle of the road kind of investments. Nothing terribly exciting. It is the heavy lifter of your portfolio. It's doing all the work because it's got to supply the $32,000 to your cash account or your money market, whatever that's going to be. That's where that money is coming from. So now you take that money from your investment account, put it in your cash account, put it in money market, ladder GIC, strategy, whatever you're going to do. But essentially every year you're taking money from that pool of money that's invested in sort of middle of the road solid investments. You're transferring money every year on an annual basis into that cash account. Okay, so you're always taking money. Your withdrawals are always coming from a stable source of investment, so you can be away for 5 months. You can carry on with your lifestyle and not worried. You don't want to be away in Florida, wherever, for 5 months and be worried about the markets. You can be assured that your lifestyle spending is solid, and then just make sure you do reviews with your advisor, make sure all your portfolios working the way it should be, make changes as you need to make changes. But essentially that's what you're doing every year. You're moving your money, $32,000 plus going up with inflation a little bit to make sure you're protecting your purchasing power. Now, after a number of years, maybe that's 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, you're going to need to replenish the money that came from that source. You're going to have to actually take money from the other part of your portfolio that you don't need that money for 10, 15, 20 years. You can be more aggressive with that money. You can invest your money a lot more aggressive than you are in that 5 to 8 year timeline. So now that pool of money hopefully has grown in value, and now you're going to replenish the middle bucket with that money. So in this case, you see that you'd never want to deplenish that middle bucket because it's the heavy lifting that gives you the $32,000 every year. So it's this waterfall effect. And every 3 years or 5 years or whatever your timeline is going to be, the long-term assets are flowing into the middle bucket that will eventually every year or every 6 months, whatever that timeline, will replenish the cash account. That is the 3-bucket strategy, okay? So your investment accounts that you're using here should have different timelines, should have different risk tolerances, they should have different funds. They should not be in the same fund because your timelines are different. And so if you have longer periods to invest, you should be a little more riskier in those funds or stocks or whatever you're investing in. You can be a little bit more riskier for the longer term part of your portfolio as compared to that middle bucket, that middle timeline. Okay, now let's go into an actual planning page here. So this is going into the scenario where they did an RSP meltdown. So the priority here was do the RSP meltdown instead of the taxable account. So let's go left to right and I'll walk you through how this looks. On the left is the year and the age. They're retiring at age 62. This is a couple, so we're only showing the one spouse here. We've pushed off CPP at age 70. That creates this space from, as you can see, age 62. They were working, by the way, at 60 and 61, age 61. So 62 is their first year of retirement. So we push off CPP to age 70, and that creates an environment where they have no income. So we're able to do an RSP meltdown. And so what we're doing here is you look at the effective tax rate, and they're about 17% all the way through their retirement. And then if you go to their financial assets, you see RSP, TFSA, and the non-registered account. And you'll notice in the RSP meltdown that we're not taking the same amount out every year. We're being dynamic in how we take that out because we're focused on the effective tax rate. So taking $35,000 out 1 year or $5,000 the next and $20,000 the next and then $45,000 is because we're focusing on making sure that that tax rate is flat all the way through. That'll save you taxation throughout your lifetime. And we're using the tax or the taxable account to fill in the gaps a little bit. So instead of taking all the money from the tax, so let's say you needed $70,000, and if you split the expenses in half, and one spouse paying $35,000, the other spouse paying the other $35,000. If you took the $35,000 from the non-registered account and then pushed off the RSP to age 71 and then start, well, that example, you spend more money on tax and you give less to your beneficiaries. So this works better. And you can see the TFSA is always being contributions here. So they're never actually needing to use their TFSA account. They're actually annual deposits or monthly, whatever you want, but they're putting in their annual maximums. And then not running out of their taxable account. They still have money left over, but they're just using it in the very beginning of their retirement to fill in the gaps. And the reason why they're not using it later is because in age 70 to age 90, because we pushed off CPP, they got the bonus, right? So now they're CPP and old age security is now that much bigger, and they don't require any help from the taxable account. So now you see this RSP meltdown. They're out of their RSP by age 86, or out of their RRIF by age 86. We're not leaving it behind for Canada Revenue. They have full contributions to their tax-free savings account. And just one side note, you've all asked me before, you made comments before about how does a tax-free savings account get so huge? Look at where the tax-free savings account is at age 79. It's $686,000 just for the one spouse. Consider we also have the other spouse doing the same strategy. So there's quite a bit of money in tax-free savings accounts for this couple, plus their non-registered account. This strategy works better for this couple if they do RSP meltdown first, versus taking money from the tax-free or from their taxable account first. Well, was that useful? Let me know what you see here in the video. Put your comments below. I'm always interested to read your comments. Let me ask you a question, as I always do at the end of the video. Have you developed a withdrawal strategy? Are you still confused about your withdrawal strategy and you're not sure exactly how you should go about doing it? Send me an email. I'm happy to talk with you about your withdrawal strategy. Again, thanks very much for joining me on this video. It was really great to see you, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks and be well.